you had mentioned before that you knew from an early age that you wanted to be a musician, but at what point did you know that you had a gift, that you actually had something of value to offer, and that this could be something you could pursue as a career?
I remember my first performance outside of like school talent shows was at a private event in, well, about half hour away from Halliburton. And when I performed, a lot of people came up to me and they were like, "Oh my gosh, like you're gonna go so far." And like, I don't know, I got so many compliments. Like I was bombarded and I was totally not expecting it. And I don't know, I think that was a big light bulb moment for me because it was the first time I had performed, outside of school. It was the first performance of mine that was in front of real people, not just my classmates and their parents. So yeah, I think that was probably a big light bulb moment for me.
So you're soft spoken, you're a self-proclaimed introvert. So is it difficult as an introvert that is pursuing a career in like the least private, most social industry ever?
Totally, yeah. I think a lot of people confuse introvert with being shy, and they're totally not the same thing. Though I would say I'm probably both. But introverted is like I get my energy restored from like being on my own and kind of just isolating by myself. Not because I'm sad or whatever. I need to recharge away from people. Um, so I think that in an industry that's so like it requires so much of me being out there, me talking to people, I think that I need to take some extra time for myself. A lot of the time, I find that after like a performance or after a night out, I really need to like make sure that to keep my mental health in check because it gets a lot for my brain to, you know, comprehend and just go through. So I think that I kind of compensate for that by taking extra time to just relax and recharge.
There's a book called Quiet that I read. I think
Mhm.
it's Susan Cain, Susan something, anyways. And it's basically about the power of being an introvert, and like it's like a superpower. So some people think maybe it's a weakness, right, that like
Mhm.
people are too shy or scared or not confident, but she comes across with all this data of the strength of an introvert. So that would be a book that's worth checking out. So I
Yeah, that's
in
awesome.
a wanting to understand people more. I'm an
Mhm.
extrovert, so I wanted to check out that book, see what's the fuss is all about, these introverts, see what's going on there.
Yeah, that's super cool. Very interesting. Yeah, I find that being an introvert, like I write a lot on my own in my room with a guitar, and maybe that comes from being an introvert. I'm very like internal, like I think a lot, and my mind is always going, it's always racing, it's always coming up with new ideas. Sometimes this can get in the way of being around so many people because my mind is just racing. I'm like thinking about what that person's doing, and then like I'm hearing this thing over here, and then it's like, sensory overload for me sometimes. So yeah, maybe it influences the songwriting for sure.
Do you have trouble sleeping because you have just too many ideas and things going on?
Actually, no, I've never really had trouble sleeping. I honestly, I'm a pretty like, I sleep pretty easily, which I'm thankful for. Um, so yeah, I never really have that problem, but I do always like, I have this problem where I'll be almost asleep and I'm so comfortable, and then I get an idea. I'm like, oh, like that's really good. I have to get up now and I have to get my phone and I have to record it or write it down or something. Um, that's
Yeah, that
probably,
that idea might never come again, right? So
yeah,
you have to honor that like digital download from the infinite intelligence or source or whatever.
exactly. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Do you journal at all?
Sometimes, yeah, I have a journal that I write in when I'm feeling like super overwhelmed. I usually just kind of like spill my thoughts out onto paper. That's kind of how I process things. I also do like some manifesting too. I've gotten into that recently, and I find that super powerful. Just like writing down where you want to be and like pretending like you're already there. It's just like it's really, really powerful. I recommend it to everyone.
Yeah, there's a book called uh oh my god, hold on. Anyways, there's this thing called the morning pages, and it comes from this woman. I think it's Julia Cameron, and she's basically been a coach for creative people for years, and she taught courses, and everyone's like, oh, you got to write a book, you got to share this. And she's about empowering artists and helping artists and how to live a life of creativity. So, it's like once a week you should set up a date with yourself, doing something creative to get those energies out. A lot of creative people are like you, where it's like they're always thinking and they always have ideas, and a lot of them can't sleep because it's like the brain's always going, which is why I asked you. So I've been writing. It's called the morning pages, and it's for creative people, and it's every morning when you wake up, you write about 3 pages worth of stuff, and it's literally just whatever comes out. It could be ideas or fears or dreams or how you're feeling. And it's like you can physically take what's up there and put it out somewhere. And it's like that clearing of energy allows you to have more clarity and to sleep and all those things. So anyways, it's called the morning pages, is like the technique that's used. It's a form of journaling, but for creative people. And
Interesting.
and yeah, the book, it's The Artist's Way, I think, something like that. Anyways, I should get all my
Cool.
book titles straight before I bring them up in the interviews. But anyways, that's why I asked about journaling.
Mhm.
My next question for you is, as a musician myself, we're often told to get an education, get a good job, play it safe. Um, did you have you run into that resistance from family or friends that are like, oh, be realistic, get a real
Mhm.
job? That whole musician entertainment industry thing, that's a hobby, that's not a job. Have you dealt with that? And if so, how do you push through that?
Yeah, I actually was pretty fortunate growing up. My parents really supported me in what I wanted to do. I think that themselves, they never really got the opportunity to follow their passion, or never really had maybe the encouragement to follow their passion. So, or maybe they didn't even know their passion. So I think that they really wanted to give me that opportunity to chase those dreams and like chase those opportunities. So I've been super fortunate in that sense. Never really encountered anyone who's at least maybe confronted me about it. Maybe they're thinking it. I don't know. But no one's ever actually said it to me. So I've been super fortunate.
And for our listeners that maybe haven't heard your music before, how do you describe it? So we're gonna send them to go listen to it, but for now, how would you describe the sound?
Yeah, I would describe my sound as adult contemporary pop with an indie twist. Um, and I think that my music feels like emotionally different from what you'd hear on the radio per se. I write lyrics to, be thought through, and I write lyrics really thoughtfully. They're not necessarily something you'd get on the first listen, which is just how I like it. So that's what you can expect.
So I'm going to read this next thing so I don't mess it up. So you were the 2019 MusiCounts scholarship recipient. So it was $5,000 in a financial contribution and an intensive mentorship and networking experience to accelerate your career. So how did that all come to fruition? And how did you invest that $5,000 into your career?
Yeah, well, first of all, I was nominated from my school, which was super awesome. I cared so much about this scholarship. When I submitted the application, I was just hoping that I would get it so bad. And I remember getting that call, and it was like the happiest moment of my life. Like I was in tears, like it was a big thing, because it meant that I got to, invest that money into music. And someone in college who, doesn't have time for work. I mean, my course wasn't a typical, 6 month sort of thing that normal universities do. It was longer than a typical school year. It was 11 months of the year. I was studying for 2 years straight. So I had no time to work, no time to save. I, you know, the financial situation was like not ideal for someone who has to put in so much to get something out of it. So this $5,000 meant so much to me, and I budgeted out every cent of that money. I remember having like a spreadsheet, and I was like, okay, $200 is going to go to photography, like this is going to go to studio time, and like I was so so meticulous about it because I was so grateful that I got that opportunity.
You're way more organized than the average musician, I think.
Yeah, I actually I'm a huge neat freak. Like everything has to be a certain way. I will say though, the one thing that isn't organized in my life is songwriting. That's the one thing I allow myself to kind of be completely free and messy in whatever it needs to be.
You mentioned before when I provided the quote from Melissa, was that from this mentorship, the 2019 MusiCounts, or was
Mhm.
that something else?
No, that was actually something else. I won a contest at Ottawa Blues Fest in,
You're just
what
out
was
here
it?
winning all the contests. What's going on here? You can't
No,
leave some contests to other people. What is this? That's awesome.
honestly, both of these I was not expecting at all. But 2017, I think it was 2017, I won a She's the One competition at Ottawa Blues Fest, which was a competition for young female artists to win a one song record deal where I'd, write a song or get a lot of songs. I had so many writing sessions to find the one song that we wanted to produce and release. And then I got to produce it. We got it mixed, mastered, and released it. And I did the whole shebang. And yeah, one of those songwriting sessions was Whitehorse.
Okay. And what was the song that you ended up going? What was the one that you
Yeah,
went with?
it was called Lucky. I actually decided to take it down from streaming services for a few reasons. It didn't feel like me. Um, I think that being with a label was great, but I feel like I don't know, it wasn't really me what was happening with the whole, I don't know, everything about it was just kind of like maybe I hadn't really figured myself out yet, and I wouldn't have expected them to figure it out for me. But I just think the whole thing wasn't really true to who I was.
Yeah, it was I guess it was just a an amazing experience, and there
Totally.
was some growth there as an artist that led you to who you are today and your style today.
Yeah, totally. Totally.